So yeah, let's get into it. So throughout the year, this year, I found teaching theory quite easy to do with Zoom and with Microsoft Teams. Teaching theory I found quite easy. But the one thing that I found difficult is teaching programming, because as we have our teacher standards that we need to follow as teachers, and then we're trying to scaffold and differentiate and trying to teach different students and help them with their programming tasks. That's been quite challenging. I found that challenging to do that remotely. I've had, students email me or on Zoom, on the Zoom chat, saying they code is not running. And I've had to just say, oh, just copy and paste your code into the Zoom chat, or, send me an email with a code and I'll look through it. And that's the experience that we were having. And you'd look through it and, like always, it'd be something quite simple, like, they haven't put a bracket or they haven't done something. So we were looking for, as a school, solutions for this problem that we were having. And then we came across coding rooms. So what I'm going to do then is show you coding rooms and talk about my experience with it and share with you some features that you then hopefully can see the benefits of, and think about adding coding rooms to one of your teacher's toolkit, something you can have in your toolkit that you can then use as you teach your classes. So there is a link I shared with you all on the email. I'm also going to post this into the Zoom chat that you can just click if you want, and it will open up a web-based coding rooms platform. And the first thing you will see is that it will ask you to sign up or continue. You just click continue, and then if you could put your name, your first name, or I don't mind if you put your nickname, or you can keep it anonymous if you want, and just join then the coding rooms classroom. And as I'm looking on my screen, I can see, actually, I think most of you have joined, so that's great. Now let me just show you then. I'm just going to share my screen, and I'm just going to show you from the student view. This is the view you have, what is what. And yes, if you look at my screen right now. So over here, you've got different tabs up the top. You've got presentation and my workspace. Now that there on the left is the teacher's workspace. That's the teacher's presentation. So as the teacher is teaching programming, they would type some piece of code in, and that then would add here. So the students can see that. If they want to, students then can just have it on presentation mode, and then they could just watch the teacher type in the code there. Or they can just go to the My Workspace, and that there is just their code where they don't see the teacher's code. And it's just like the other IDEs that we're all familiar with, where you can just type your code into here. Just point out, I'm using Python 3 today, but it does support lots of other programming languages that you can just click and program in. And you just click the run button, which will then output your hello world down the bottom. So that's quite straightforward. That's the experience we've all had with different IDEs, that we type it in, we press run, and it gives us an output. Brilliant. Now, just to note, if any of you are programming right now on here and playing around, if you are doing a user input, you need to click this instant interactive terminal here, which will let you then interact with the input. So you just click on that and click on start. And if you were to program an input, then you would enter your input into here. So that's if you are, I'm not going to demo that right now, but if you are playing around with this, that's something to note. Okay, so let's say then that on your screens right now, so on my teacher side, so on my screen, I've got the teacher presentation view, and I'm teaching you guys how to print hello and then your name. So what I would do here is over on my side, I could start typing some code and say, we need to have a variable and we need to call it name. And I would then start typing it. And then you guys on your screen now will be able to see that. So on your screens, you'll be able to see that I've just typed name equals. And then I would then say to the students, okay, what do we need to put after that? And then I would then leave you guys try to work that out. Maybe we've had some theory on this beforehand. So then in your screens, now on your My Workspace, see if you can. You don't need to do an input, just save a string, just put name equals, and then put your name there. Don't worry about inputs right now, unless you want to, you can, but just save a string. And then I want you to output hello, and then output your name. And then do that on My Workspace. So you can just do that now as I'm talking. But the feature that I really want to show you for teachers is that as you guys are typing your code in, I can see everything that you are typing in onto your workspace. Now, this is a really good feature because, as I know my classroom and I know there are students who need that extra support, I can keep a close eye on them and ensure that they are doing all right. Now, I'm just going to quickly show you that feature. So I'm going to share my Zoom screen again so I can show you the teacher's side of this. This is the side that you guys would be most interested in. So over here then, this is the teacher's portal. And on the left here, I can see all of you, all my students. And it's really good because right now I can see who's active. So right here, I can see that Alex, he was active 3 minutes ago. Okay, so Alex, maybe he's gone off for a drink or something, or maybe he's struggling with a piece of code. And I can see then Andy is 30 seconds ago, he was quite active. So this is a great feature to see which students are actually working, which students may need support. And if I want to then look a little bit closer into their code, so let's say, I'm just going to pick Andy for now. Let's say I wanted to see Andy, see what code he's doing. And if he needs additional help, I would then click on View Workspace. And then I would see Andy over here. And I can see then that Andy's just got his print hello world. And over here I can see Mark. Mark's code looks pretty good right now. Dave Hunt's code looks brilliant. And, and I can see then all the different pieces of code from the students. And now that's a really good feature because then if there is a student struggling, I can then help them. And I think that's really important, especially for remote learning. When we're not in the classroom, we're unable to do the traditional ways of teaching. So then I can offer that support. And again, I think this back to our teacher standards, because that's kind of where I'm coming from with this, is that, we must be doing certain things as teachers to offer the support. And sadly, I have heard some people saying that let's just write it out. And I don't think we should write it out. We should look at ways of sticking to our teacher standards. So you can see now that Dave there is typing, and I can see that live. All right. So that there then is the teacher's view. And now, just quickly, I need to point this out as well, because this is a real good feature as well. And I can't show you on here right now because it's not set up to show you, but there is also a video feature, just like Zoom. So if you wanted to just use coding rooms for teaching, over here on the left, and you turn that feature on before you set up the classroom. On the left over here, you would have the students would see you on your webcam, and you could see the students and the mic. It's just like Zoom, and that's a real good feature to have as well. So that's just a sideline. Okay. Let me Stop that. Okay, now, so that's the one feature that I think is very useful for teaching live classroom and teaching coding. Now, I don't know if anyone's doing the GCSE project right now. So as a school, we are using this for our GCSE project, where we are given the 20 hours slot that all the students need. And we join in on coding rooms, and then they would then just program their project, while the teacher then, we are there to, to kind of oversee it in a way. So that's something we are doing right now, is our project. We are using coding rooms so the students can have that 20 hours. Okay, now let me show you another feature. And I got to do this on the coding, on the shared screen. Okay, let me just set this up for you. Okay, now assignments. So another thing that we do is we teach our kids and we give them assignments. These are pre-set tasks where they could go and go do some programming tasks. Now, I'm just going to quickly demo this for you, because I also think this is a really good feature for us teachers. Now, this is a student view here, and this student there's our tasks here. And when they log in, they could then see any live classrooms coming up. So if they had any live classrooms, that would be here on the list. But then they could also click on assignments. And here, they would then see all the assignments that have been set for them by the teacher. Let me just show you an example. So if I pop into assignment 7.2 here, so then the student then will have an overview of the challenge, the task. And we use, for our school, we use Craig and Dave's resources. And this is Craig and Dave's time, which is try, investigate, make, and evaluate. So this is the make part. And so the student would come in here for after, once they've done the try and investigate, they would then come to the challenge, and they would read this task, and then they would click open assignment. And then the students then would have, I was playing around with this earlier on, so I've entered these two lines. But as a teacher, I gave this student some scaffolding, and I gave them a few of they just hidden code, really, so they just get them going. Now, I may just want to have a blank workspace here, but I thought it may be beneficial for this class to give them a little bit of code. And then the student then could, and I like how it keeps the task over here. So then they can constantly look at this and then program over here. But this is a real clever thing, because if I'm going to minimize that, and I'm just going to load up my teacher view here, because I just want to show you this pretty cool feature. So, and this is what I've been using. So I've been doing this on Zoom, and I've been setting programming tasks for the students. And then if anyone has a problem, again, it's good for teachers to be able to just go in and see what the problem is and help them to solve it. And I think the best way of doing that is actually just looking at the code. Instead of saying, email me the code or paste it in, it's good just to see it. So let's say this student is having a problem, and they send me a little message on the Zoom chat or the Microsoft Teams and saying, I'm having problems with 7.2. I could then just click on Gradebook. All my students, I've only got 2 in this class right now because this is a demo one. And all my students would be here on the list, and all the tasks are up the top. And I can see which students doing what. So, this student here had 100% in 4.2 or 3.2, and they've had 66% in 4.2. Okay, now this student, they might need a little bit of work on this one. But let's say they're having problems then in 7.2. I could go to 7.2. And you see here, it's got in progress. And then I would say, okay, I'll be there now and I'll help you out and I'll see what the problem is. And I would then just click on here. And it would take me to their workspace. Now, the good thing is can you see the student's view over here? While the teacher sees their code live and the student sees the teacher's help live as well. So I could just say, all right, you need to, don't forget, you need to have a question here. And as I type that in, over on the student screen, it's showing them exactly what I'm doing. And I can talk them through and give them that support that they need. And I'll say, and I could just sit there for a bit and just watch them and talk them through it and help them. And as soon as then I've given them the help, I can just exit that and leave that student. And then I can maybe go back to, my other students and check on how my other students are doing in the overview of all the challenges. So I could then pop into another task and help, a few other students in that task. So that there is the assignments feature. And again, this is different to other solutions that I've come across because I like how it lets the teacher go in there and help the student with the tasks and giving them that support that they need. Now, just also then, just on this point, as the students then complete the task, they can then submit this to the teacher. So then the teacher can see the submission. We can also grade it if we want. We can set automatic grading up, so then we can do all the hard work. Now, if anyone is interested in these resources, this is Craig and Dave, and I've put all these into coding rooms, and I can share those with anyone that does use the Craig and Dave resources. If you don't use those resources, then coding rooms have a bank full of Python challenges that teachers can just add to their account and use. They also have JavaScript as well, and others are being developed to add to it. But I think in the UK, majority of us use Python, and there is right now ready to go a lot of Python tasks. All right. Also then, just another little feature which is really good, because I always find that students love to Google answers. And unfortunately, they could just probably type in the question into Google and find a solution and then copy and paste it into the IDE. It does happen. I've seen students doing it. It's a bit of a shame. Now, this is a little cool feature, which I do check on some students who I think are prone to copy and paste syndrome. And they have this playback feature. So I could click on the playback feature and I can see over time the process, the progression of the student typing the code. That's really good, because if they copy and pasted, you would just have all of a sudden all the code there, and then you can say, oh, look, I can see you've copied and pasted this. Again, that's really clever. That's really good. And as soon as they know you've got that feature, obviously they may end up writing and typing the code in as they copy in, but that's not too bad. If they are struggling, maybe it is good that they are typing, and hopefully they are learning as they are typing. But that's a good little feature as well. So you can see they over time, their code being typed in. And that feature is also available on the live classroom. So if you're in the live classroom, you can also see how the students' timeline, see how they got to that point, and check, what they've been doing. So that's a good feature as well. Okay. Now, just let me just show you then briefly the assignments part for us as teachers. If I click on assignments here, so this is the teachers portal here, and this is just a brief overview. And if you are interested in learning a bit more about this, then please feel free to reach out and I can talk you through this a bit deeper. But right now, because of time, I'm just going to briefly show you how to do assignments and how to add assignments and the different features to us as teachers. So this is then the teachers portal, and this is the courses. You can have different courses set up, you know, maybe different classes. And then if you go into the classroom, you would then have your assignments. All your assignments will be set there. You then set up your live classrooms would be here. Any previous classrooms that you had would be there. You could then look at the roster. These are all the students in your classroom. You could look at the grade book, and this is an overview of all the assignments. So you'd have all your students here on the left, and you could then monitor. Again, if you think back to our teacher standards, where we should be looking over data and, you know, monitoring pupil progress, then this is a great feature. As you can see clearly, you've got the data here to see how the students are doing. So that's what the gradebook does. Now, if you wanted to add an assignment here, you could then just easily click new assignment. You'd give it a name. So I would do like 7.4. I would then name it. I'm just going to do test for now. And in here, then you can just write your description in there. Again, this is just a quick overview, so I'm not going to go type in and let you wait there while you watch. But you could then just do an overview here. You could then say, you know, you can assign it out. You'd give them the template. This is where you give them the scaffolding that they need. So, you know, you could say hashtag, you know, have a user input here or something like that. And you could give them the scaffolding that they need. You would save the changes there. And then over here, you've got the test bench. And this is where you can set up automatic checks, grading. So you just click on add a test case. And you could, you know, say this is an output test, add. And then in here, then you could have your test. So you're looking for a certain thing to be outputted. And if it outputs that, then you give them a certain amount of points. Let's say I was going to give them 100 points for outputting hello world. Then that I would then down here, I would say hello world. Obviously, this is just a quick example. And then model solution in here, then this is for the teacher, especially when you've got, you know, hundreds of assignments to set for the students. In here, you could then put your solution so that you can keep a bank of your solutions, so that if you ever forget how you did something or you get a little bit rusty with your Python programming, you've always got your model solution that you created back in those days when you were on top of your game. And we've looked at gradebook already, but that's where you can see who's working on this current gradebook and how many submissions they had, who's the top score, their top score, etc. So that's the assignments tab. And then also then the teachers would have the live classroom tab where you could set up your different classrooms. And just let me point out, because earlier on I said about the different, you could set it up so that you could have the video feature. So you don't need to use Zoom. You could then just use this for everything. Down here, you've got enable audio and video, and then you could have that feature on. And so that's setting up a live classroom.